Hey everyone, welcome back to the Hey Hana podcast. I'm Hana Kraus alongside the one and only Peter Kraus for part 2 of our health and nutrition episode. We didn't even get into nutrition, which is why I had to bring him in.
I think I'm just your favorite guest at this point.
It's true. I made this joke last episode, but I swear I know more people. I'm coming to you today from the couch. From the floor. Sorry, not from the couch. My back is...
You want to sit on the couch.
It's easier.
I'm like, we have a couch. Why won't we sit on the couch? No, we're sitting on the floor.
You guys, breaking news, my back is broken. That's completely broken in half.
Hannah is pregnant.
I don't know what to do anymore. I went to the gym today fully to work out, and I had Peter just like stretch me instead. And then Is that weird? It's true.
Yeah, no, I helped you stretch. I showed you a couple good stretches.
Why is that weird?
I don't know. Because I'm a child. Oh, boy.
I did the lacrosse ball thing on my back against the wall.
Yeah, I helped Hannah to do some, like, how do I call it? Like acute pressure release, which would be with this.
I thought you were saying, like, it's cute.
No, acute. Fine point.
Got it.
Instead of like a broad stretch, it was a very like specific, pinpointed rolling out of potential tension to help alleviate the stress within the muscle. And then you did some piriformis stretch to alleviate the stress in your glutes because they're probably a little fatigued.
Sometimes when Peter talks this way in detail about what he's doing, my brain is like beep, boop, beep, 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 beep.
Totally.
Bop, bop, bop,
This is me talking to Dr. Allen. Same thing. He's talking about all these like specific numbers and details. And I was like, cheeseburgers. Good?
Yes.
Not good? Good.
Like, so the weather is cold. Awesome. Okay. So last episode, we talked a lot about lifting weights versus Pilates, what's better for the girls, how to really get started in the gym when you don't know where to go. This episode, I wanted to focus more on nutrition-based content, nutrition-based questions. And so I'm going to go ahead and start reading some of the ones that we got on Instagram.
You're so good at this. Like even that, like nutrition-based content, I was like, where are you going to go with this? I would have been lost. I get so tongue-tied on podcasts. It's like, well, I never want to lead one.
Well.
So here we are. I love being on the other end of it. Just talking.
So you like not hosting?
Yeah, I love being able to just talk and speak freely.
I love being in the driver's seat with a microphone. You know, put me in the game, coach. Yes. Okay, first question. Does fasting help using... I'm sorry, hold on. What I don't know how to do is read. Also, this isn't English, so it's not my fault. I'm sorry. Does fasting help in using your fat stores? So I think this person is trying to ask,
sure, can you burn fat by doing fasting?
And this is intermittent fasting is such a hot button topic, especially among women. It's like there's so many studies out there that say that it's really good for women. You and I talked about this when I met you. I was doing intermittent fasting to, I would say, an obnoxious degree. It wasn't healthy. So I would love to hear your opinion on...
You were fasting, you're saying?
Yeah.
You were just skipping meals at that point. Yes.
I wasn't eating breakfast.
Totally, yeah.
And I was eating like yeah.
I had to really like convince you the benefits of eating breakfast.
And it felt wrong. And that's a whole other thing. But I want to get your opinion on intermittent fasting in general and how is it beneficial to your fat storage, all of that. And please answer this while I go turn the potatoes that are in the oven. Proceed.
All right. Let me start by saying I am not a licensed professional in nutrition advice. I went to school for dietetics. That was clinical nutrition. That is very different. Like what I dealt with in school was very specific diet regimens for people that were hospitalized at the time for long-term or acute issues. So it was like a lot of blended diet and low sodium diet, low sugar diet, things like that. That being said, I did have a really good conversation just today with my partner in business, Dr. Alan Mottram, and he talked about a very like interesting and deep knowledge of nutrition and just so happened to talk on this topic today of fasting and the benefits of it. So I just want to preface all of this with that because what I know is through many years of conversation with professionals, self-experimentation. I have done fasting upwards of 3 days, completely no food or I guess like drinks other than water.
Well, that's a different type of fasting.
That's like true
Yeah.
fasting.
And that I would like to touch on too, but
Yeah. And then I've done what I'm assuming this person's alluding to, which is intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
And I've also just like self-educated. It's like done a lot of reading on all these things. So all that leading up to this, I just wanted to preface all of this for the whole kind of conversation today. So
okay.
take everything I say a little bit with a grain of salt, but know that I do have a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge and a lot of great people around me that help me to form these thoughts and opinions.
I will say, from someone who's just a regular person who doesn't know anything about fitness and nutrition from a professional standpoint by any means, I'm talking about myself, Peter does know a lot about food and nutrition, more than the typical person.
Have you ever fact checked anything I tell you though? No.
No, but there's a lot of what you say that I know to be true.
Yes. It usually...
Like, I'm like, oh, I have read that. You're right. Or you'll say it and then I'll see proof of it later on or something like that. Anyways, intermittent fasting, should we do it?
Intermittent fasting. Yeah. So the question was, does it help burn fat specifically? Or does it help us to burn our fat stores? And the simple answer is yes. All right. But the long answer would be no. So
that's a really funny way to answer that. And I'm happy you just said yes or no, because if I was listening to this podcast, I would be like, yes, great, doing it.
Sure.
And then, so I'm happy you just said no, because you advise people.
Yeah. So the goal of intermittent fasting really shouldn't be to burn fat. The intermittent fasting goal is really to reset your systems and get your body back to a state of equilibrium. A constant consumption of food basically removes the body's ability to fight. I shouldn't say removes it. It lessens the body's ability to fight infection and disease. So when you're constantly digesting and absorbing and then utilizing all the nutrients that are within our diet, the body shifts all of its focus over to that. If we can fast for a little bit of time, the body goes into a little bit of a starvation mode, which allows it to regulate its blood sugars a lot better, set a lot of the hormones that are made in the gut, and also kind of like flush the systems, which can help to clear out potential toxicity that's starting to grow.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the main focus in my opinion, at least. So anytime I have like something starting to pop up, like I have a GI issue showing up or I have some major fatigue or lots of inflammation, short-term bouts, I guess, of fasting is what I go to first. So maybe it's a day, maybe it's 2 days. In extreme cases, it'd be 3 days.
So I just want to preface by the fact that I think that's absolutely nutso. Like, and you're right, it does help you, but fasting for a day is what Peter goes to if he feels like his digestive system is off, if his gut is off. And I've heard there's a lot of studies out there that say this is the best thing for you. Like what you said is true, but that's also an extreme case. Like that's not something you want to do every week, every month, something like that. Like that's something you maybe do, once a year? Twice a year?
The prolonged fasts I would do probably twice a year.
Okay.
The really intense one, which is like 3 days with nothing but water and electrolytes, once a year.
I feel bad
there's
saying
people
that.
who do way longer than that. I've heard people doing like 40 days.
I know. I feel bad saying that was nutso because I just know that I did it once.
Hannah can't go 3 hours without eating something sugary. It's probably a reason to do it.
Okay. I did it once and you would have thought I was...
Wait, are we talking about time I was with you?
Yeah, it was in the first apartment.
It was a day, yeah.
I mean, I had the worst headache of my whole life. I'd slept probably like 3 hours after not eating that whole day. And then I felt like SpongeBob when he needed water. Like I couldn't move. I was like, I needed food. And then I had like 2 eggs the next morning. And suddenly I was like, oh my God, I'm healed.
Yeah.
It did work. It did heal me. And it helped my digestive system. That being said, I was like, I'm never freaking doing this again. That was awful.
But when you get to a point in life where you're like, something's off, something is not right, and it's that easy to fix it,
sure,
you'll go to it again. That is, again, all like fine and dandy, but I think someone could very easily take that to an extreme. So I just want to focus on the question.
Yeah, I know. We're answering
like the longer fast and all that. Yeah, because that's something that really should be advised by a professional, I would say. In this case, I want to ask again, is it possible to burn fat by fasting? The body's easiest source of energy to use for energy throughout the day is carbohydrate, sugar, glucose, and then glycogen. Carbohydrate, when ingested, turns into glucose and stored as glucose within the bloodstream. And then additional amounts of glucose will be stored as glycogen, which is within the muscles themselves. The more muscle mass you have, the more glycogen you will be able to store. And then the body will revert back to that glycogen while all the glucose in your bloodstream is gone. If that state of energy is always available, the body's not really burning much fat. So the easiest way to tap into those fat stores, with that being known, would be to reduce the amount of sugars within your blood so your body can tap into fat stores. Easy way to do that is exercise. The amount of glucose that's in your blood really only has enough staying power to last through about 30 to 45 minutes of exercise. And then your body will tap into glycogen, and that really starts to only go for maybe, I don't know, as little as 15 minutes more, sometimes longer, depending on the amount of exercise or the intensity of exercise. That's where like a professional would really come in to tell you those exact numbers. So exercise is a great way to actually offset the carbohydrates to allow your body to start burning fat. Fasting in this case is not needed. If you were to cut out carbohydrates and do a really protein and fat based diet, so what's considered a carnivore based diet, your body over time would go into what's called a state of ketosis, where it turns fat into energy and then uses that fat as ketones to supply energy to the brain and body. So again, you're not fasting, but you're not getting carbohydrate and you're burning fat almost primarily. Where fasting really can start to become an issue, I'd say, is when you're fasting too often or too much, or you are not getting enough calories in between your fasts to compensate for the amount that was lost during that time. So like if I have a basal metabolic rate of 2,000 calories per day, meaning my body is supposed to burn or utilize 2,000 calories a day, and I fast for 12 hours and then I only eat for like, I guess in that 12-hour window, and I only eat 1,000 of my 2,000, I'm in a caloric deficit every day of 1,000 calories. And eventually what happens is my body's not going to burn fat, because fat is very high in calories and my body wants to conserve energy for life. And it's going to think, well, if I keep starving myself over and over and over, because fasting is a form of like self-imposed starvation, if I keep doing this day after day after day, I'm eventually going to die. So I'm going to instead store calories, because I'll be able to use them later on when they're vitally important to conserving life, because they're so calorically dense. And I'm going to instead burn stuff that's very cheap and easy to use, and that's protein. And protein is what our muscles are made of, our tissues are made of.
There we go.
And you will see people that actually start to have protein breakdown and muscle breakdown, and you'll actually start to store fat. So long story short, long-term durations of, I would say, like improper fasting are not great for fat burning.
That's a great way to answer that question.
So there's a lot.
So this is like, and I always ask this question, and so forgive me for asking this because I know I've asked you this before, but so let's say I had like a big event coming up and I wanted to look and feel like, maybe just those 3 pounds were a little tightened in that time.
Yeah.
Would it be bad to then intermittent fast? People always do the not eat till noon or not eat till 1 o'clock or 11 a.m. or something like that for just a few days. Would that be beneficial if I'm still filling all of my like protein caloric needs in the window that I am eating? So if I'm eating like 3-4 meals later in the day.
So you're still eating enough calories to support your basal metabolic needs.
Yeah.
But you are fasting outside of that, I guess, in an attempt to burn off some extra pounds before swimsuit season.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a guy who modeled for many years and had to like cut up before specific like photo shoots and whatnot, I was always so stressed out by the process that I actually caused more damage than good. So like no matter what I did to my diet, the amount of stress that I put on myself caused my body to retain fat anyways and water. So it was counterintuitive to my goals.
So, because you've always said the best thing you can do is eat good, dense meals and nutrient-dense meals.
Nutrient-dense, yeah. Know the difference between calorically dense and nutrient-dense.
Of course. Yeah. Eat good, nutrient-dense meals and have a healthy routine and stay consistent with that. And that's the best thing to do.
Yep.
if you really want to tighten up or you have that big event coming up and you want to look and feel your best. It's not to cut off times of eating, but it's actually just to like rejigger the system in your brain or physically, like physically rejigger what you're putting on your plate and find the things that are the most nutrient dense that you can sort of repeat and that are a no-brainer to you. And you know that you're filling all of your, what am I trying to say? Like nutrition needs.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
What I just said
Always-
sounds like common sense, but
Yeah, and I always say very well hydrated. I think we are, as a nation, very chronically dehydrated,
Mhm.
which I feel like you just read something about that recently.
Did I?
Yeah.
Don't remember.
Yeah. But
I
that
did
being
just
said,
buy a new water cup, and I'm so excited about it.
just
It's my
know
new
that
personality.
oh my God. Most people, I don't think will truly be able to see the difference of a very short-term diet change like they're hoping to. So when we talk of someone's like they have an event that they really want to prep for in a short window of time, there are some little tricks that you can engage, I guess, in your life to help see some change. But it really is when like your body fat percentage is within those lower ranges. Like for men, it's like, let's say you're down around like 8 to 12% body fat percentage. I can teach you a couple little things to shave off a couple little inches at the last minute to
Yeah.
show a little bit more definition.
Right.
But to do those all the time is actually probably not super healthy.
What can you teach us?
Yeah. Well, and for women, so a healthy body fat percentage range, because know that there's a difference between BMI, body mass index, and body fat percentage. A body fat percentage is strictly the amount of fat that is on your body in relation to the overall weight of your body.
Mm-hmm.
And BMI is your overall weight compared to your I think it's just your height and then maybe even your age. I can't remember those numbers. It's been a long time. That is not a very good determining factor of health because I have super dense bones. I'm going to be naturally heavier than someone who has very thin bones.
Right.
I have really heavy muscle density. I work out all the time. It's going to be a lot different than someone that is more fat mass than muscle mass, just as an example. So that's not a good determining factor of like actual health versus body fat percentage. So in this instance, we're talking about body fat percentage. And that is to be said that the healthy body fat percentage for women throughout my schooling was 18 to 23%. For men, it was between like 9 and 16%, I think it is. And both those ranges have been increased a little bit in recent years.
Mhm.
But I think it's because the overall population is getting a little bit heavier. And also like our health is getting better as far as like the baseline.
Yeah.
So the couple little things that you guys are waiting to hear, the little nuggets.
Mm-hmm.
The first one would be carbohydrates, like we were just talking about, create energy. And if you want to burn fat quick, the reduction of carbohydrate should allow you to get into your fat storages a little bit faster. But those, again, are only available for so long and for certain heart rate zones, which we've talked about in the previous podcast.
Right.
So that is a long-term kind of a focus, but it can be done still on like the shorter window.
Right.
If I had a couple last minute pounds to shed, if I reduce my carbohydrates for 4 weeks, let's say, and I really focus on low intensity exercise at that kind of zone 2 range, I can burn off those extra couple of pounds pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
Especially as you get into those leaner stages, those lower percentages.
But it's not something you want to do for a long time.
No, because all of the really good nutrients and vitamins that are in carbohydrate are so beneficial to your overall mood and happiness and
Right.
health and like just long-term health.
Yeah.
So I don't like to cut out carbohydrates, but I do, I would say like carb cycling from time to time.
Yeah. Well, a lot of women don't eat carbs at every meal for that purpose.
Sure.
Like I always heard that expression of like, you want to eat breakfast like a king, lunch like a queen, and dinner like a, oh God, what's the last one? A peasant? I think it was a peasant.
Really?
Yeah.
It again
Dinner
depends
or
on your-
lunch like a prince, dinner like a peasant. So you eat a smaller dinner
Huh.
because
That's a terrible.
it's terrible. It really is terrible.
When
'Cause-
I think and the times that I was running triathlons all the time, I was eating massive dinners because
Yeah.
the next day, all that is
Right.
now really good energy
Well,
built
of
up in my
course.
body to go.
I'm sorry, I cut you off. You were in the middle of
So
telling
then
your nuggets.
the last part, the last nugget would be water intake and salt. Salt creates retention of water, as do carbohydrates. So I'm going to slowly over time increase my salt intake. And this has to be like really good quality salt, like rock salt, sea salt, Celtic sea salt. Those specific things help my body to get some water retention and create a lot of energy. And my body feels really good for a period of time.
Yeah.
And then in the days prior to the event, what I want to do is suddenly swell my muscles. So in the days leading up to that final thing, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut out my salt so all the water drains from my body. That allows the swelling to go down a little bit and allows me to start to see a little bit more definition. It's like the water retention, I should say, go down a little bit. And then I'm going to boost my carbs last minute. And
Ooh.
in the bodybuilding world, the really old adage for this was drinking a glass of red wine.
Oh,
And what it does, it quickly dehydrates you that last little bit, and then it pushes some carbohydrate in your bloodstream, so you get a quick vascularity pump, and your muscles may even pump up a little bit, and you suddenly feel just like a little swole and a little lean.
wow. So if I'm like feeling really good after a glass of red wine on vacation, there sometimes is like scientific proof of that.
Yeah, but again, it's a very short window. So
Sure.
this is where you get yourself in trouble. Again, it's just a little nugget, but in reality, it's going to cause you to retain water that much more the very next day.
Sure.
And so if
Right.
you're doing it for like 3-4 days, the long haul is always the better option versus this last little fix because you'll actually be more bloated because of the wine after like a day or so.
That was a great answer. Thank you for thank you
You're very welcome.
for the long answer. I'm going to go ahead and go to our next question. And you actually brought it up when you talked about salt intake. Somebody asked, are electrolytes needed? How important are they day to day?
So electrolytes are naturally occurring minerals in the food and beverages, water that we drink, and we need them for daily life. Like sodium, potassium, and magnesium are vitally important for all of life. Sodium and potassium are what sit inside and outside of the cell. And then magnesium is, my understanding, what creates kind of like the trigger that allows energy to flow between. So without any one of those, the most basic cellular process of our body would eventually fall out of sync. So in order to maintain good, proper health, you need electrolytes. Do we need the massive push for electrolytes? This is just like the protein push right now that everybody's going for,
Totally.
that everybody seems to be pushing in their ads and Instagrams and whatnot. No, we don't need all that.
Well, there's all those electrolytes. What are some of the names? Like Element?
Yeah, there's
And they're great. Like some of them, when we're on the road or something, we rely on them. We're like, okay, we have to get some of these at the airport or just have them in our suitcase. But in terms of your everyday needs, there are healthier ways to have electrolytes than some of those like fast Gatorade brands are pushing right now.
well, especially with a lot of those having artificial and real sweeteners in them
Yeah.
that are causing your blood sugars to go out of whack, and preservatives and dyes and flavoring and
like
all.
fizziness and stuff like that.
Right. So the best thing you can really do is true source, natural mineral water. Like if you can get true mineral water that's been like unfiltered
What brand do we use?
like we get filtered water and then add minerals back to it.
But what's the mineral brand that we buy?
Oh, so I use trace minerals, which
Okay.
from what I can tell, the research I quote unquote have done on it seems fine.
Okay.
What I did notice if I start to add too much, it can cause a little GI distress. So it's like 40 drops total throughout the day, I would say.
Yeah.
And you put that in your water all day. A lot of times electrolytes have been based around exercise. Like that's what we all kind of grew up thinking. It's like, oh, if I'm outside in the heat a lot, I need electrolytes. Yes, obviously you need more at that time. I had a really intense workout. I need more electrolytes. Yes, you need that to be hydrated prior and then hydrate yourself after. And if it's really long bouts of exercise, throughout the process. But really, we need really clean, clear water and then to add electrolytes to it a little bit every single time.
Another question here. How can I try to eliminate sugar cravings after work and after dinner?
After work is interesting. Having a sugar craving after work, my instincts immediately tell me that you might have skipped food for too long during your shift. Carbohydrates are like the first place people usually go to when they think like, I need a quick boost of energy, or my cravings are for something sweet, so I'm going to eat something sweet. When in reality, it's our blood sugars dropping, telling us that we need food. And one of the easiest ways to stabilize your blood sugars is actually protein and fat. So what I would actually go for is increasing your protein during your middle of the day meal, or if you have like a middle afternoon snack before you get home, that'd be where I'd have something a little bit more protein, fat rich. Examples of that are like really every snack that I have is a mini meal. You see it. It's like if I had chicken and potatoes with a little bit of olive oil on it, that's just my snack as much as it was my lunch. Is just a smaller portion. If you're eating only lunch and then not eating again to get home just because your schedule dictates that, then I would have just a little bit larger meal at lunch and make sure you have a good hearty portion of protein and just an adequate amount of fat. So it's like 4 to 8 ounces, let's say, of protein, chicken, fish, beef, whatever that may be. And then if it's a fatty protein, then I'm not going to add much fat to it, if any. And if it's a really lean protein, like a chicken breast or a really lean piece of red meat, a turkey, something like that, then I'm going to add maybe like avocado on the side or maybe a little bit of cheese, but I would add a little fat on the side of that. So post work, that's probably why you're craving something sweet. If after dinner you're craving something sweet, that's a good question. A lot
Welcome
of
to
times,
Earth.
yeah. I think a lot of times that could just be like we've built in habits and we've gotten to a point where like we just really started to enjoy a little sweet after dinner. And now we crave it because it's just like a feel good type
Yeah.
of a thing
Yeah.
versus our blood sugars are low and we need that sweet. Sweet after dinner, not a bad thing. Your body's digesting all of it pretty much at the same time. So it's not going to like create any sort of big spike in blood sugars, I would think. But if we have a bunch of sugar right before bed and then we go to bed, your body's going to pretty much just sit on that and it's probably getting turned to future energy, which is going to eventually then be turned to fat if not used.
I have definitely struggled with sugar at any given point of the day in pregnancy, but that is a familiar struggle for me. So I really relate to that question. And I actually have never thought about the fact that I didn't eat enough during the day, and that's why I was craving sugar.
Mhm.
I used to have an office where we would have like little candies in the office, and every afternoon it would become more and more impossible to not have just a little bag of M&Ms or something because it was like my body was craving something.
Mhm.
And you're right. It was just because I simply wasn't eating enough during the time that I did schedule for myself.
Well, the more dependent your body becomes on sugar as well,
Yeah.
the more you crave it. That is a
It's
guarantee.
an addiction.
Well, it really is. And it's a very, your body's addiction. Like it
Yeah.
is your body and brain saying, feed me. And the fastest and easiest way to feed me is carbohydrate. So gimme, gimme, gimme. Versus saying like, okay, this protein is going to take longer to eat. It's going to take longer to digest. And it's going to have less of an immediate impact. So give me the cheap stuff. Give me the good stuff.
Yeah.
It's like a drug. And so the goal is really to increase the proteins and the fats a little bit and then start to reduce some of those refined or simple carbohydrates.
I want to say more about the sugar stuff because I think that there's seasons of life where you can you let yourself indulge on like a sweet treat or something, and you learn to have your own boundaries within your sweets. And that's what's helped me in the past. Even right now, I'm in my third trimester. All I want is like Oreos. I could literally eat Oreos every day. Have I ever bought Oreos? I haven't.
Only if it comes in ice cream.
It's true. I have gotten it in many ice creams.
And then it's gone quick.
But that being said, like my point of bringing that up though is Peter has helped me because I love to bake. And obviously it's also negative 15 degrees here. And
Stuff.
sometimes I'm like, I don't know what to do on a Sunday and I want to do something. Baking always sounds great. So instead of making something really sugary that's just going to be in the house for the whole week and that we have to try to fight ourselves to not eat all of and all of that, I've tried to just bake things that don't have any, what's it called? The
Refined sugar.
refined sugar, which basically means any sugar from the bag, any white sugar or brown sugar. And so I've just been looking up recipes where the only source of sugar I have in there is like a maple syrup or a little bit of honey or something. Now, I will have chocolate chips or something, but I just try to get the most organic dark chocolate chips I can find that are like not artificially sweetened in any capacity.
I think that's a good way to highlight the idea of moderation. Like
Yeah.
everything in moderation. It's going to be really hard to go from sugar at every meal or sugar consistently throughout the day. And I don't want sugar to be like the devil here because I love sugar and I eat sugar. And in specific times of life, I really intentionally eat more sugar than others. But instead, like making slight changes and adapting new, it's like routines is a great way to slowly tick away at reducing the amount of overall sugar specifically that we eat throughout the day. So adding molasses to things, adding maple syrup to things, adding honey. Stevia is one that I kind of like go back and forth on. Same as monk fruit. Like it is a natural quote unquote sweetener, but it's not a syrup. It's not
Yeah.
pure sugar. I'd rather just have the sugar.
I forget what it's called. It's not monk fruit, but there's another one. There's another artificial sweetener. Watch out for those because I sometimes think I would rather just have real organic sugar than like a fake type of sugar. And you just have to pick your battles with it and decide, listen to your body and decide which one is better or worse. I just know that the less amount of refined sugars there are, the less guilt I feel about it, especially if you're like making something yourself. Like if you want to have a sweet treat, but you made it yourself, I always say I feel better about that because I know exactly what went in it. There's no corn syrup, there's none of that stuff in there. So that's another way to just like, not feel as bad about it. But yeah,
Well,
it's a tough battle.
my goal on everybody is for them to always feel their best. And I'm going to be very honest with anybody I interact with when it comes to diet and exercise, especially my clients. I talk to them all the time. And there's people I've been talking to for 10 years that have never changed a thing because they just don't want to.
Yeah.
But I will always tell people if you really want to test it out, go 3, 4 days without refined sugar and refined carbohydrates and see how you feel.
What is refined?
Refined carbohydrate is stuff that's like white flour, just really, really blended, like milled flour.
So can you
But
list some
fine.
products?
Oh, any baked good you can come across, candy, cookies,
Soda.
muffins, soda for sure. So like beverages are like the worst of the worst because it's just
Yeah.
pure sugar. It's just drinking sugar.
Yeah.
Whereas with the other things, you might get some fruit, you might get some fiber. It's
Yeah.
rare, but it's possible. But what I tell on my clients that like, I have all these aches and pains going on right now. I have some rough sleep going on. I have all this like arthritic type of feeling in my fingers or in my wrists, especially in a lot of the women that I train. I'm trying to think what are some other things. I have some GI stuff going on, and I encourage them to really focus on the reduction or removal of those two things, refined sugars,
Yeah.
carbohydrates for a few days, and almost always those things go away.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I believe it though.
Yeah.
I always feel like $1,000,000 when I just stop eating sugar, but
Yeah.
I can only go for so long.
Yeah.
It's my drug of choice.
Could be worse.
Could be worse, is right. Okay. Why do you think nutrition is so confusing for women right now?
I think nutrition is confusing for everybody right now,
It is
including
confusing.
myself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's confusing because of all of the marketing tools. There is a lot of wellness noise out there. There's a lot of like really I mean, everywhere you go in the world, in every department of life, there are dumb people giving dumb advice. There just are. So when you look up anything about nutrition, you're no matter what, you're going to get people pushing like 20 million different things. And you're like, what direction do I go? What do I do? And that's why I've always valued your advice, honestly, Peter, because you're very back to the basics about
Yeah.
like your mindset is very much like, no, you should eat during the day. Like fill your plate with the essential macros that you need, the essential nutrients you need, and then listen to your body and adjust from there. And so there's no like quick 1-2 punch or like quick fix for anything.
I would say nutrition is extremely confusing because we're so far away from the source. That's what makes it so confusing. Like you ever walked on an apple orchard, you know exactly where the apple comes from and what it looks like and how it grows and all that.
Right.
Could the average person go grow an apple tree from scratch? Probably be harder than you think. Growing any sort of crop takes a lot more thought and knowledge and work than I think anybody really gives it credit for. And so, yes, we're being fed all this information all the time on what's good and what's bad. But the truth is, we're just like nowhere near the original sources of food anymore. And most people have no idea how to actually grow a crop themselves or just a plant themselves. Yeah, I think there's a lot of confusion because we just aren't near our food anymore. Our food is now being brought to us. Like I've said many, many years now, my favorite book ever is this book called Sapiens. And one of the finest points in that book is the talk of where the groups of humans that were once in 10, 12, maybe 20 at a time very quickly grew larger than that. And that's where cultivating crops came from because we had to find a way to feed the masses.
Yeah.
And so we started to create crops. And in creating crops, there's just inherent failures. Like there are nutrients that don't go back into the soil. So the natural foods don't get the amount of nutrients they're meant to. And then we have those. And then the further they get away from their original like seedling, and now they're like 30 years of evolution of the same one monocrop, it has none of the original nutrients that it once had.
Right.
And that is why like a really clean, whole diet is so important because we're getting further and further and further away from those natural sources of food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, another question. Getting into macros, do women, and let's just make this general, do people really need to track macros in order to see results? Should I track macros is another question.
I have always understood that calories in versus calorie out makes, how do I say this? Let's try that again.
What are you saying?
All right. So the question is, are macros important?
Yes.
Right? The answer is yes. Because if you have a surplus of calories, you will gain weight. If you have a deficit of calories, you will lose weight. And then there are always exceptions in like how much weight, where's the weight, what kind of like mass am I putting on? Is it fat mass, muscle mass, tissue? And then the opposite is like if I'm constantly in a caloric deficit, meaning I'm not getting as much calories as my body actually needs, am I losing weight while am I losing fat? Am I losing protein, aka muscles? Am I losing tissue? All that. So the first thing someone needs to do is find out what is their basal metabolic rate. And the best way to do that is go on to, it's like calorie.count.net or something like that. And you're just going to go into one of these
You
simple,
just totally made that up.
I know it is. It's like something, look it up, look it up.
Okay.
The idea is you're just going to go on all these like free calorie calculators and you type in your height, your weight, your age, and your gender. And it's going to spit out basic like basal metabolic rate. What it doesn't take into consideration is your activity level. So everything you do throughout the day adds some sort of caloric expenditure to that. So blinking my eyes is taking calories. That's a unit of energy. And there you go. That's
By
it.
the way, it's calculator.net. Caloriecalculator.net does not exist.
Okay.
Calculator.net immediately brings you to a calorie
There
calculator.
you go. Calculator.net. So then you find out kind of like what your general activity level is. I think most people in today's day and age are pretty sedentary to low activity. So I'll just put that in. And then if you ever have like a super intense workout or something like that, you can, modify as needed. That is going to give you your total macros for the day. So then you can see just from that number, if you eat more than that, you're probably going to gain some weight. If you eat less than that, you're probably going to lose some weight.
Hold on. I want to break this down because I think a lot of people don't know. Can you quickly, briefly describe what macros are?
Macros are macronutrients. They are carbs, fats, and proteins. Alcohol is technically a fourth, but it does not count in this situation because it provides no nutrient benefit.
Correct.
Okay. Micronutrients are all of the vitamins and minerals that we consume throughout the foods that we get. Like antioxidants is a great one. It's only from berries. You're not getting antioxidants from your graham cracker.
Okay. The other thing I wanted to mention is when you and I had talked about macro counting from just doing it before we met each other, I counted macros for a period of life. And although I really enjoyed it and it taught me a lot about food and about what I was eating and about what I should be eating, it taught me so much. I'm really grateful I did it, but it was not for me in the long run because I became really macro obsessive and it became unhealthy. So I would advise if anyone has never done macro counting and they're like, I'm interested in that. And I think that it could be beneficial in terms of actually teaching you about what each food item falls into. Peter and I were just talking about, we live in Wisconsin. It's the state of cheese. Everybody here loves cheese. A lot of people have consumed cheese with the thought that it is a protein source. And while it does have some protein, it is actually a fat source. And that's common knowledge to a lot of people. But for some reason, we were raised on this. We always talk about this, that we were raised with like, eat this piece of cheese. It has protein in it, whatever. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that there's a lot you could learn with everything that you document. So even if you don't want to fully count your calories, this is something Peter and I did after we met. So when we talked about like, okay, we both counted macros and we both got a little obsessive. What's one thing you can do if you just want to like do some light housekeeping on your diet, right? You can type in your macros for what you're generally eating every day and then just take a little look-see. And it's like housekeeping. You're like, okay, oh yeah, wow, I am going 10 grams over the fat intake that I should be having. That's good to know. So if I wanted to cut anything, maybe I shouldn't eat that handful of almonds at the end of the night, something like that. So that's where I say that macros and learning your macros is actually really beneficial in the long run because you just learn a lot about food. I don't know why I'm so passionate about this. I can't stop talking.
What I find most interesting, you keep just referring to them as macros. I don't think people actually know necessarily, because I know I didn't know when I was young. Let's again go to carbs, fats, and proteins are macro level, meaning large nutrients.
Right.
All right. So when you say like you have to track your macros, I don't think anybody knows what that actually means.
Sure.
And so what that means is, let's go back to like the most, I guess, like relevant thing in all this, which is finding out what your personal macros are. And the way to do that is to now, as we know, go to calculator.net, type in your height, your weight, your age, your gender, and have it spit out your basal metabolic rate. That is how many calories your body needs to stay exactly as it is without any additional exercise throughout the day and no food consumption or deficit from that number. That is such an important place to start because you have science backing up your decisions versus just feeling. Like for years, I based all my food and my exercise off of feelings, and it was never as dialed in as it could be. And I had the opportunity to potentially push into like the elite athlete level in triathlon, and I always fell short because I wasn't ready to put in the work.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's the truth. So when you put in the work, it can really, for the average person, be so simple. Figure out what your basal metabolic number is. Then you have to decide, what is my breakdown of those macronutrients? Carbs, fats, and proteins. How much do I need of each? First place, very simple
This
way
is the hard part, I will say. For a regular person, like you almost need someone to tell
to
you
tell you, yes.
what you should be eating in terms of carbs, fats, and proteins every day, grams wise, because I have no idea.
Yeah, so I would start with the percentages. All right, percentages, then we'll break those down into actual grams. So the percentage of fat that you eat throughout the day for pretty much everybody should be around 20, maybe 30% tops. That's it. So I'm going to figure out what is 20% of my number of that basal metabolic rate. Okay. If it's, let's just go for a simple number. It is 2,000 calories a day, which is the basic American diet. 20% of that is 400 calories of my diet is coming from fats. All right. Then I'm going to say, well, I want to eat really about 50% protein if I have a goal of gaining muscle and burning fat. It can be 30 to 50, but I'm going to go with 50 because that's my personal goal. And this is where it gets very confusing for most people is, where am I? 30, 40, 50? I'm going to go 50. So that's just what I'm going to use for this example. So 50% of 2,000 calories is 1,000 calories a day of protein.
Yeah.
And then the remaining number would be about 30%.
That's a crap ton.
Okay. So 30% of 2,000 calories is 600 calories a day. Now, you have to divide that by the number of grams per calorie. And so if I were to go to fats first, we had, what was it? 300, I want to say it was.
I don't know. My brain's trying to beep, beep, beep.
Yeah. All right. So just know that fat is divided by 9 grams. I just got myself twisted around.
I know. I'm sorry.
Sorry, 9 calories. 9 calories per gram of fat. All right. So my total calories I divide by 9. That's how many grams I should eat in a day. My total number of calories in carbohydrate, I'm going to divide by 4. That's how many grams of carbohydrate I should eat in a day. And then I'm going to take my total number of calories in protein I should eat in a day, divide that by 4. And that's the number of grams I should eat. On the back of every box you've ever looked at, there's grams of things. Mm-hmm. You're now basing it off of that.
Yes.
Okay?
Yep.
If you go onto this like MyFitnessPal, very common and like highly used app that shows you all these calories and grams of things and all that, that's where you can start to input what you're eating to see where you're actually at. Does that all make sense?
Totally. I'm trying to remember the app that I used to use to count because it was actually really helpful. I would like scan a food item and it would tell me how, like what my macros would be in that food item if I decided to eat the recommended intake of it.
Oh, the AI nowadays and all these things is getting so good to where you can really just type in what you're eating and it'll spit it back out.
Oh, yes.
That's a great way to do it.
Yeah, that's true. You can always just ask ChatGPT. The app I used to use to count my macros is called Lose It. It's an orange app that looks like a scale and it Lose It with an exclamation point. Terrible name.
I hate it already.
Yeah, but it was actually a
No.
really good way to keep myself organized, and I could plan. Like I would plan what I was eating Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The reason why macros got insane is like I just love to go to a coffee shop and get a scone on a whim, and you can't do that
And
because
drink sweet coffee with cream in it.
yeah, and it's like you have to measure your cream, and like it gets a little tough for someone. I remember I was like living in New York, and I was like, if I'm going to dinner and then we decide to stop for ice cream on the way home, I'm then beating myself up because I went over my macros that day because I already counted everything perfectly and I didn't count that ice cream.
Nice stuff.
Yeah, so whatever.
And that's not where you want to be. Like it's not a fun place to live. So I will say this: big goals take hard work. If your goal is to be lean, if your goal is to be fit, if your goal is to be healthy, that is a big goal, especially when we're constantly surrounded by these scones and sweet coffees and all these great, very easy to find foods that are available everywhere on every aisle in every store. It is a constant fight against these things. So it's going to take hard work to get there. And it can be done very specifically and in a very short window of time. And then it becomes very easy long-term to follow as long as you stay committed to that original process. And that process is, I'm going to do my macros for 3 days only. Okay, this is it. This is my recipe for success. This is my secret sauce. And it is for 3 days, I'm going to record all of those macros like we talked about, all of the carbs, fats, and proteins based on the numbers that I got from my calculator.net. And I'm put all of the food that I eat throughout that day on the same 1 to 2 dishes. All right. And I'm going to either draw it, outline it, or I'm going to take a picture of it. And then I'm going to replicate that for 3 days. And I can change the type of protein I have as long as it's in the same quantity. I can change the type of carbohydrate I have, again, as long as it's in the same quantity. Right. I'm going to change the type of fat I have, again, as long as it's in about the same quantity. Now, for 3 days, I get consistent over what those portions look like, again, on this 1 or 2 serving dishes. Yeah. This is why like those little kids' plates back in the day, they had the separate little sections, were so great because it was portion control. Right. Portion control, as crazy as it seems in today's world, is so vitally important if you want to stay in your good, healthy zones. Yeah. So I'm going to replicate this for 3 days. I'm going to take those pictures or I'll make those measurements or put in the same dishes. And then rather than counting year after year after year, week, whatever, I am just replicating those portions over and over and over and over. And so then when I go out to eat, I think, I remember what those portions look like. And now I'm having something that's a combination food. And a combination means it's my carbs and my proteins together, or it's my fats and my proteins together. So I have to kind of in my mind decipher like, well, how much fat do I think is on top of this piece of bread? Yeah. Did that fit within that quadrant that I had on that plate before? If the answer is yes, I'm not going to also have the sauce that's on the side. If the answer is no, then I'm going to enjoy that sauce that's on the side. If I have a carbohydrate that is, I don't know, wrapping my protein, having a hot dog, all right, I'm thinking to myself, like, does that protein look like it's about the amount of protein that I had on that plate and that serving size before? I get what you're saying. All right, the answer is probably yes or no. And then I can continue to like just stay within my mind's version of that. And then maybe check back in with reality every once in a while. And the way he's saying it, it's like, I understand what you're saying. It's not as obsessive as that sounds. No. It's like, it's very much like you're giving yourself like a coloring book and you're saying, let me stay inside these lines, you know? And that's just. And go enjoy life. Yeah. And go enjoy life. And go have the things that you're out and about enjoying. Yeah. And you can just get an idea of what's actually within the realm of your macros. Right. Only. Right. So you know after doing that calculator what you should. This is like what I was saying before, how like you and I every once in a while, we haven't done it since I've been pregnant because quite frankly, I don't give a shit. I'm just staying alive at this point. But it's about resetting yourself in that same way that I said earlier, that you and I would sometimes just take a look at our macros for like 2 days and be like, oh, wow, okay, we're actually eating way less protein than we really should be eating. Oh my God, how many times have I caught myself eating way less protein than I think I'm eating? Yeah. And I'm like, oh, no wonder I'm losing muscle mass and like retaining a little extra fat. It is good to do a little check every once in a while. Okay, that was like the longest winded question. Let's do a few of these and then we'll be done here. Somebody asked how much protein should you be eating every day and at every meal, actually? Yeah, so again, that goes back to that same thing we just talked about. Yeah. Calculator.net. Yeah. Figure out your basal metabolic rate. Figure out how many
Figure
about how many extra calories your body needs based on the amount of activity you're doing every day.
Yeah.
The more active you are, the more protein you're going to need to rebuild those muscles. And then you figure out your percentage of those total calories that is going to be devoted to protein. And again, I think that's anywhere from like 30 to 50%. I like to shoot closer to the 50% range. So for me, that's like 250 grams a day of protein, which is obscene. So instead of just going like my whole life with that amount, Hannah's seen it. There'll be times where I don't really focus on protein as much. I just want to make sure I get some.
Yeah.
And then there's other times where like, okay, I need to put on some muscle. I'm going to reduce my carbohydrates and I'm going to really focus on proteins for the next like couple weeks.
Yeah. By the way, when he says reduces carbohydrates, like he doesn't not eat them. You still
Right.
eat them plentiful.
Yeah.
It's just not, you watch the source of carbohydrates more than anything.
Yeah.
Like you'll eat less of your Ezekiel bread and you'll eat more potatoes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Potatoes.
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 Okay. Another question that was asked is about eating before or after a workout. Let's say, and this is a question I relate to. I love working out first thing in the morning. I used to enjoy working out without eating beforehand. I didn't do it for any other reason other than the fact that it's what felt good on my body. It wasn't like I lose, stored fat or whatever the heck. It really, like, if I ate before a workout, I sometimes would have like a crash and I wouldn't have the energy. So the best way for me to go about it was not eating. When we were dating, you taught me to have protein before a workout.
Post-exercise more than anything. But if there's a space between the time you wake up, the time you go to a workout, then I'd have protein as well.
But there were times where you told me that I should be having protein before the workout as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so how would you answer this now for like a general person who's not pregnant?
Yeah, so this goes back to goals again. And the reason I say that is someone who wants to gain in their fitness capabilities, carbohydrate produce energy. And proteins create rebuild. Proteins are not going to create the energy in the moment. So if you eat carbohydrates before your workout, you'll have more energy to be able to do that workout, which for me, it's like, I want to lift heavy weights. I want to run fast. I want to jump high.
Yeah.
I'm going to eat carbohydrates. And then as soon as I'm done with my workout, within 60 minutes, ideally within just like 30 minutes, I'm having a big dose of protein to refuel my proteins and help to rebuild.
Is it true that I need to eat a certain amount of protein within a certain time frame after my workout?
Yeah, that's what I was basically just saying.
Okay.
Yeah, within 30 minutes.
Within 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you say that?
Yeah,
Did I say that?
I think literally just that.
I didn't hear you say within 30 minutes. Sorry. I didn't hear you say within 30 minutes.
Keep that in. Welcome to my life. The other side is like, I honestly am so torn nowadays. I'm being completely honest. And it like, I feel bad saying this. I, for many years, told women if they work out first thing in the morning, it's okay to just have like a little bite of an apple or a banana or something like that, like a couple bites of it, maybe like half a banana. And that should be enough. And now,
it's not good for me.
Yeah, there's more information coming out that like you should, as a woman, probably have like a little bit of protein and a little bit of carbohydrate before your meal.
Yeah.
Before your exercise.
I will say I notice a significant difference. If I had just protein and a carb before a workout, and maybe this is because I'm hypoglycemic, I have to have a fat source. So what I do now in pregnancy, and I used to do this at another time in my life too, when I just love peanut butter on toast. Like one piece of bread with peanut butter and maybe like a handful of blueberries, and I'm out the door on my way to the gym and I just go do my workout. That to me always works because it's a little bit of a carb and it's a little bit of a fat. So it helps curb any of that spike in your blood sugar that you would get. The fat helps do that.
And it helps to reduce.
But I don't know if that's like good for everyone to do. This is what I do.
I would say like it's pretty safe to say having a little bit of food before you eat is probably a good thing.
A little bit of food before you work out.
I keep saying that. Food before you eat food. Oh,
we're both dying.
All right. A little bit of food before you work out is probably a good thing. You still want to stay within the ranges that we've set with your macros earlier on throughout the entire day. Know that really the goal in all this is to shoot for those macro ranges throughout the entirety of the day. When and how those kind of come in is less important than I think we've given power to. over the last few years.
We got a lot of fitness questions, but I wanted to keep this one to general nutrition. We'll make these last few rapid fire. Is there a best time of the day to work out? Should I be working out in the morning or in the evening after work?
Sure. Short answer is I would tell people who want to burn fat to work out in the mornings, people who want to build muscle to work out in the evenings.
Whoa, really?
Yep.
I never knew that.
Yeah, there you go.
That's true?
Yeah. But obviously, like if I want to build muscle, I can still work out in the morning and gain muscle. The truth is, most of the time, I'm not going to have as much morning or as much energy in the mornings. So my output in the gym will probably be less. Also, as the muscle continues to like break down throughout the day, it will just stop the like immediate healing process. So I won't maybe build back as strong as quickly. Whereas if I work out heavy, like lift heavy before I go to bed, my testosterone spikes its highest in the middle of the night.
Mhm.
So I'm going to build back the most like size and density in my muscle.
Okay, last question here is why do extreme diets work short term, but they don't work for me in the long run?
Extreme diets are a sudden change, and you're going to see it's like the pendulum effect. I do a big swing this way, I'm going to get a big swing this way. And so if I make a sudden change to my body, it's going to be like, oh, thinking on my feet. Let's like reassess. Let's alter our processes and try and like catch up. And sometimes that results in weight loss. Like I suddenly cut out a bunch of carbohydrates. I feel great. I lose a bunch of weight. And then I do it long term and I feel like shit and all the weight comes back on. And it's probably because I'm putting my body under too much stress and I'm missing on the things that actually needs long term. That's where a good, healthy plan that can be withheld. No. A good, healthy plan that can be kept long term is the best goal. So I really want a whole diet of good, clean, whole foods.
Oh my God, we're losing our minds.
I can't even think of the word.
I don't know what you were trying to say. I don't know the word.
If I can hold on to something for a long time.
No yawning on the podcast. I've yawned 3 times. It's okay. I feel like we've done enough talking for the evening. But this is, I mean, we made the mistake of doing this in the evening. So thank you for coming on the Hey Hana podcast.
Oh, and guess what? We haven't eaten dinner yet.
Oh, we're gonna eat dinner right now. But thank you guys for listening. We hope that this has answered some of your nutrition-based questions. And
it's probably made you more confused.
If you have any more questions, DM Peter.
I'm not answering it.
Yes, you will.
I don't even have my Instagram.
Oh, Peter deleted his Instagram. Okay, if you have any more questions, DM either Peter and I. I will make sure Peter sees them and he answers them because I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay?
Okay.
All right, thanks for listening, everyone.
Okay, bye.
We'll see you guys next week. Bye for now.